All right, it's the KwinnPop Podcast. I'm Peter Dawson.
I'm James Bullock.
And we are here to talk about video games, movies, television. How you doing today, James?
You know what, Peter? I'm actually feeling darker than black today.
You know what can solve that problem?
What?
Having a cookie.
Oh, Lordy.
The power of Lordy cookies. You realize we now have to, create a recipe for Lordy cookies.
Yes, soulful cookies.
Soulful cookies, yep.
Soulful cookies, yes.
And I can't think of a good piece of wordplay for that. We'll come back to it. We'll workshop it. So for video games, we thought we'd start off. There's actually been quite a few new releases lately, but I think this is one I wanted to talk about for a while. It's actually a 2015 release, if I'm getting the year correct. I'm just gonna casually, 2015. It's a 2015 PC game. It was released on Steam, and it's available now. It's pretty good. It's called Technobabylon, which was created by Technocrat Games, kind of an independent studio. Development team was fairly small, but it took a few years to make, and it's pretty solid. So to break it down, Technobabylon is an adventure game, which is set in the not-too-distant future, of course. Not way down in Deep 13 for anyone who likes MST3K. But, yeah, it's set in the city of Newton in 2087, where there's a AI called Central, which runs the whole city, and we get a series of mysterious incidents start happening around town.
Mm-hmm.
And you investigate the incidents through 3-player characters, including, what was his name? Charles Regis? Yeah, Charles Regis.
Yeah, Charles Regis, yep.
The problem is they always call him Regis, so basically we
never
hear his first name.
He's a cop, so you have to call him by his
he's more than
last
a cop.
name.
He's a scientist doctor cop. Officer Doc Scientist. Attorney at law. Okay, he's not a lawyer.
That was the sequel. That's the idea of the sequel.
Yeah, take a Babylon too. This time they're lawyers. And his partner, Max Lau. They investigate a series of mysterious incidents, including people who are exploding.
Just to interrupt you, if you say the name Max Lau, I really didn't think about it, but you would not assume that's a woman.
No.
No.
Well, don't forget transgender.
True that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, transgender Asian cop.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you hit her, that's 7 different hate crimes. I think there's going to be a theme this week, James.
This is already going downhill. I don't know if it's going to be monetized.
What? Why would you possibly assume that? And then
man, we haven't got the purpose yet.
Just wait. Yeah. And then the third character is, I want to make sure I can get her name right because hers is actually hard to pronounce. It's Latha Sesame?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Sesame, sesame seeds, whatever.
Or Sesame Street.
Yep. And
all this game needed was Oscar the Grouch doing one scene where you're in the back alley.
We could have. I mean, this game had more than a few cute little references.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's interestingly enough, she's essentially an addict of the trance, which is kind of like their futuristic Matrix-like environment. It's
like futuristic heroin.
Yeah, because it's also the internet to a degree.
Right.
Yeah, and a major thing is technological implants. Like you can, at one point, a character drinks something and it basically creates a communication matrix in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's some very cool science on display, and the virtual world's a lot of fun. And yeah, it's to avoid getting too spoilery, it's basically a mysterious murder investigation, bombing situation. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and you got to figure out.
Don't forget jetpacks.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's jetpacks and there's zeppelins. What are they called? Aerostats? Aerostats.
Yeah, it's aerostat. Yep.
Yeah, and is that a real type of? Oh yeah, that's a real type of zeppelin.
Yep.
So, there you go.
Hasn't changed too much in the future.
Oh yeah. No, Zeppelins are still awesome. As are jetpacks.
Just a little bit more affordable now in 2087.
Yeah. And just to, like it's an adventure game, so it's a lot of point and click stuff, very, very early 90s PC, if you've ever played that type of stuff before.
Mm-hmm.
Maniac Mansion, Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, Secret of Monkey Island, a lot of games like that. Full Throttle.
Very puzzle centric too.
Oh, yeah.
One of the main things about the gameplay is the fact that pretty much every major scene is some kind of puzzle.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, because there's 11 episodes?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a quasi-episodic game, because at one point they were actually going to release it episodically. But they ended up not doing that.
I think it flows a lot better this way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm talking of episodic point-and-click games, frickin' Telltale games.
Right.
Yeah, one of those, but done in the 90s style rather than in the Telltale style.
But fully voice acted too, so.
Yes, and the voice acting's pretty good. A little stronger than the stuff we got in the 90s for sure, and the sprites look a little
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely better done. And yeah, it's a sci-fi series that explores a lot of dark topics, sci-fi concepts, like, oh man, there's a cannibalism subplot.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting one, because it got...
Yeah. It really threw me for a loop. Like, I was surprised that they were going to go there with some of the stuff that was happening later on in the story. And
yeah,
seemingly that's it's not even okay. If for anybody that's watched like the episode of Bob's Burgers, I think it was like the first episode where they thought they were selling human meat.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, it's very taboo. No, not in 2087. Don't worry about it. It's not taboo anymore.
Well, it helps that it's cloned meat.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally cloned meat grown from real, replicated from real people.
People, right.
But it's essentially,
it's essentially synthetic, but
yeah,
still.
Yeah, and they were never alive to begin with.
Right.
Which is pretty dark. But yeah, so yeah, it really gets into that area. It's like, is it still cannibalism? Probably. Yeah, and then there's of course androids that are really human AI programs that are incredibly annoying or adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the ones you meet in the very beginning, Sheffy.
Yes, Sheffy, and then of course if you infect Sheffy.
Oh my god. So Sheffy is basically an adorable anime girl who dispenses food.
Right.
Like, she's in all the food dispensaries as a part of THE Foods. They have to sing it because otherwise people will realize it's just the foods.
It's just
What's sad is it took me the second time to realize that was the joke.
Right.
That one actually went over my head the first time. But yeah, early on you can also infect her with a virus and she just gets like all mean and sassy.
Yeah, she gets really, really cutthroat in terms of the way she comes back with retaliatory efforts. I mean, it's like your mama jokes, but just hilariously done because it's like a little anime girl.
Well, she says "so's your face" at least once.
Right, like just incredible schoolyard insults that are done masterfully well.
Oh yeah, and yeah, like it's hard because I wanted to bring up this game just so people hopefully check it out, but I mean we can't get too deep into it without getting too spoilery.
Right.
But
I think it's the perfect time to do it since with the announcement with Cyberpunk 2077 and everything, so everybody's getting their Cyberpunk on right now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like it's definitely, despite, obviously taking some inspiration from other works, like there's a character, like the guy who makes all the, who makes a lot of androids is named Dr. Stepford,
Mm-hmm.
which is a cute little reference, and there's a few other cute little references here and there, but yeah, generally it's, pretty solid. Just kind of, it takes some familiar sci-fi tropes, and you get it like, because we mentioned Central, the city AI. In a way, it's very Big Brother.
Right.
Well, if Big Brother was an AI.
Yeah.
I think that was the twist of Big Brother. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a sequel to 1984.
Yeah, now we gotta rub our chins.
Why can't I think of there's been sci-fi where the master thing has been in AI, but I'm blanking on other examples off the top of my head. But I mean, that's been seen before.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh, Logan's Run did it.
Oh,
There you go.
yeah.
There's a classic reference off the top of my head.
There we go.
Yeah. This isn't Logan's Run, though.
No.
Regis is what, like 56?
Yeah. Regis up there.
He's the crusty old scientist who's trying to...
Yeah, it's the crusty old scientist turned cop.
Who's trying to right the sins of his past.
That's
pretty much it. And then, yeah,
Max I know, but I mean, he's actually a much better character than that. That's the thing. I love we could just typecast him, but he's actually a lot better of a character than that. So.
Oh, he's very well-rounded, and he's very sympathetic, because he makes some morally questionable decisions at points, and it's pretty... Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, the only thing with the game is there's a couple of points where you might question the logic, but I mean, that's a problem with any of these games.
Yeah, that's a problem with any video game at times, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you notice it more because it's a puzzle game, right?
Right.
It's one of those things, it's like, I remember when I played, Two Souls, there was a bit where I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, and it turns out all this time all I had to do was scroll up, but I'd only really been indicated that I could move left or right.
Oh, man.
So I didn't realize there was another dimension I could be exploring. And I was like, God damn it. Yeah. I don't know if there's much else to say. Do you want to?
No, I mean, it's a really solid game. It's very affordable for one. I mean, you can get it on Steam for really cheap. And it lasts about 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, each episode's about an hour.
Right. So, I mean, I say if you have the opportunity, if you want a good point-and-click game, especially something to sit over a cold, rainy weekend, this is the perfect time to do it. Pick up Technobabylon, definitely.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's on Steam. It's super affordable, and do recommend.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing we actually picked a shorter one, though, because I get the feeling we're going to talk about a lot about the next subject, because talking about the future and interesting questions tech invokes, why don't we talk a little bit about Season 4 of Black Mirror?
Yeah, buddy.
Now, this is just to introduce Black Mirror, for those who aren't familiar. Black Mirror was created by, shoot, now I'm blanking on his name. Charlie, I keep wanting to say Charlie Booker, but it's Charlie Brooker.
Right.
That's why I paused for a second. And, yeah, Charlie Brooker, British comedian / reviewer type. Like, he's been around for a long time making all sorts of interesting commentary on various programs. Like, he did commentary on television. He's done stuff on video games before, so there's a video game connection here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in this case, Black Mirror is essentially his answer to the Twilight Zone.
Right.
Because, like, easily, if you want to compare it to something right off the top of your head, it would be like Twilight Zone, but it primarily deals with technology, social media, stuff like that. Like, you see it in quite a few episodes. That if it's usually either a new piece of tech and the implications of it, social media and the implications of it, or, you know, something along those lines.
Yeah. Especially like the first 2 episodes is funny that we talked about with Technobabylon when it comes to implants or putting something on your head that takes you into another world.
Yeah.
The first 2 episodes are just dedicated to both of those things.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, like that's very much what and then, I don't know if there's really too much else. It's a anthology series, so every episode stars new people. There's been hints of connections here and there, but it really seems more like Easter eggs at this point.
Yeah, it feels like almost fan service and just people, if you really want to try to string things together or make a timeline, you can, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Exactly. Yeah, like some could be probably sequels and stuff like that, and you do see some recurring tech, but how much of it is truly connected is a little question.
Right. Like the only one that kind of puts into question is the season finale. For this season. Like that was the only one that kind of put into question because there were certain aspects, certain tech that showed up in previous episodes that just showed up here. But like I said, that kind of felt, I mean, considering the person that they focused on telling the stories, it just felt like it might have been kind of weird too. Like almost like a figment of his own imagination.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of mind effing in this series, which is for the best. Cause I mean, before we get into the season, I just want to comment on apparently Charlie Brooker. What really inspired him to do this was the Twilight Zone episode "Time Enough at Last," which, if for those who aren't familiar, is the famous episode of the Twilight Zone where Burgess Meredith, a great actor, also in the Rocky films, just to name one thing off the top of my head, he played a guy who loved to read, And then one day he went to sit in a bank vault on his lunch break to read because he worked at a bank.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a nice quiet place to read. It made sense. And while he's in there, a nuclear war or something happens, and he emerges to basically find society gone.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm apparently the only person. What the hell do I do? And like he like at one point some people tend to forget what happens is like at one point he actually picks up a gun and seems to think about just committing suicide.
Right.
But then he realizes the library is still intact.
Yeah.
Wait, like most people seem to think, or if they haven't seen it, they tend to forget the part where he's like actually suicidal before this happens, because it helps put home the impact. Because he goes to the library and he's like, well, at least I have books. I have time enough to read everything. And then he breaks his glasses.
Yep.
So it ends with him weeping while surrounded by books.
And for people that don't get the reference at all, follow up, Futurama did a spoof of it later on, many, many years later, where they did the exact same thing, but instead of just breaking his glasses, his hands fall off and his eyes melt.
That's right.
It's completely up the ante.
I think they did that in Family Guy at one point too, where it was Peter had killed off all his brain cells but one. And the last brain cell's like, at least I have my books, and then his glasses fall off. So yeah, it's a very popular episode of reference. And apparently Charlie Brooker saw that episode and was like, more TV should be like that. And he kind of used that as the basis, and then season 4 dropped on December 29th on Netflix. Netflix has all of it, although it originally aired on, was it on ITV?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And since there's been 4 seasons. The first season was 3 episodes. Second season was 3 episodes. There was a Christmas special, also usually counted in the second season. That was 1 episode, and then seasons 3 and 4 have both been 6. So there's only 19 episodes.
Yeah, it's a very, very small show so far. But
well, there's a good reason though, because each episode is essentially a 70-minute TV movie.
Yeah, and compared to and then you look at the first and the 6 episodes of this season where they go well over the usual running time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like they're all pretty huge. And in this case, the 6 episodes were the USS Callister,
mm-hmm.
Archangel, Crocodile, Hang the DJ, Metalhead, and Black Museum.
Right.
Yeah, those are the. And to quickly, before we get into each episode, I'm just going to quickly run down the premise as simply as I can.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. You know how it goes. I handle the exposition, and then I usually let you try to comment on each one. Because I am Mr. Exposition.
Oh, man, there you go.
Well, perfectly, the USS Callister, I would probably be the Jimmy Simpson character. Because we both deliver all the helpful information. We're both kind of cowardly. We're both kind of quirky, and we're both very white. Look, race is going to come up later on in this episode. We might as well make race jokes now.
Might as well be self-depreciating about it.
Yeah. And yeah, so USS Callister follows a guy who's essentially created a mod of an MMO his company makes,
mm-hmm.
which is based on a not dissimilar to Star Trek type show.
Yeah.
So it's a weird Trek spoof within an MMO that's kind of like what's it called? What's that super popular MMO that's like all in space? Not endless space. I can't even think of it now. Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know.
I'm blanking on it.
We're not big MMO guys. So.
No, it's what I basically EVE Online.
There you go.
That's what I was trying to think. Yeah,
I know some of the I just couldn't think of what.
Yeah, well, I kept thinking endless space. Yeah,
I want to say Eternal. I just want to say Eternal so badly that time.
That's
I know it was wrong.
Yep. No, this happens. Yeah, so it's essentially a guy who created a Star Trek mod for EVE Online is probably the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
And then there's Archangel, which is basically parent tracking software, the next generation.
Yeah, the helicopter parent that just has all the technology at her fingertips.
Yep. Crocodile, which is essentially like, what if you had the ability to read people's memories?
Yeah, but Yeah, I mean the main thing is just the conflict of somebody's past haunting them.
Yep. Somebody's past haunting them and the ability to like read memories.
Yeah.
Hang the
If you understand, no, insurance having the ability to read memories.
Right, sorry. Yeah.
Insurance people having the ability to read memories.
Yeah, Hang the DJ, which is about, which is basically a futuristic autocratic society where people's dating lives are entirely dictated to them by a system.
Yep. By a dating app. Yep.
Yep, that's essentially the easiest way to put it. Yeah, it's like, what if the dating app ruled the world?
Yeah, that's it.
Which is fine, because they've done episodes like that before. And then Metalhead, which is basically future Terminator plot, if instead of being hunted by Terminator, they're being hunted by robot dogs.
Yeah.
And then finally Black Museum, where a woman visits a museum full of like really twisted stuff, and the guy's like, "Oh, let me tell you stories about these items."
Yeah, which is like the craziest thing is an anthology inside of an anthology episode.
It's not the first time they've done it either, because the Christmas special did the same thing.
Yeah.
But like in that case, it made a little bit more sense. In this time, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So James, which episode do you want to talk about first?
Oh, well, we can just go in order real quick. I think that's the best way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So USS Callister, what did you think?
Oh man, to me between the first episode and the sixth episode, I've been debating which one's my favorite. Those are my two favorites of the season.
Yeah, the first Callister is probably my second favorite.
Mm.
And you actually didn't mention my favorite, so that's good.
Okay, great.
I have a very specific reason for picking another one as my favorite, though, and you'll probably understand why when I.
Okay. Yeah, but the USS Callister, just the fact that Jesse Plemons' character is just such a jerk. like he is just in the world, the Star Trek-esque world that he lives in. Momentarily, he's okay. Let me go back. Actually,
yeah.
He's working at this job that, like I said, we had this MMO that he helped create. But he is looked upon as this nerd, a geek, somebody that's an outcast. Everybody thinks he's weird, even though they're working alongside him. But in this Star Trek universe mod that he's made for himself, he is the cat's meow. Like, he has all the women fawning over him.
He's the Kirk.
No, he's like super Kirk.
He's really not that far off from regular Kirk. If you've ever watched the original series lately.
Well, I mean, it's not like necessarily alien women just coming after him. Like all the women.
Dude, a freaking prepubescent girl was coming after Kirk in one of the original series episodes.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
Miri. Yeah. I did not make that up.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so Jesse's character, finds out that this one girl that's a new employee actually really likes him outside of work, but being like that awkward guy that just, instead of just asking her out for a date, has to be weird about it. She eventually just kind of distances herself from him, and so he decides, hey.
No. She never distances herself from him.
You're right.
It generally seems like it's going to be a rom-com type situation where it's like, the, indoorsy, creepy guy meets the wonderful, plucky girl, and he learns to love life through her. And she learns to understand the dark side of the company she's in. No, it's not that at all.
No, it's just, he just wants to live in this mod. That's all.
Pretty much.
And he goes about being such a jerk about it.
Oh yeah, jerk is an understatement.
It's one part that was just like, it went over the top with him that I don't want to spoil because it's just so dark.
Oh, it's sociopathic.
Yeah, and that tied into Jimmy's character that just is so messed up. And then there's another moment where we find out exactly why and how they're creatures in this mod.
Yeah, no, because I guess we kind of got to give away the one kind of. Well, do we have? Yeah, because the twist is like most of the plot takes place within the mod when it is in the real world, and the mod people are duplicates of real world people made through DNA.
No, not just real world people, the people that he actually works with, and then he is employed essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, like Jimmy Simpson plays the co-founder of the company, who's like essentially he used to be his best friend.
He's kind of more the face and the personality of the company, while Jesse's character is more the brains.
Yeah, and Jesse's of course resentful that the face is getting all the credit.
Right.
Which happens.
Who didn't see that coming?
Well, yeah, it's like I said, it's very at a glance, it's very cliche, but it then does some very interesting stuff with it, which just makes it so enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way to start off the season.
Absolutely.
I must say. It's a great way to start the season.
Yeah, and without giving, it's despite how dark it gets, it's still one of the happier and funnier episodes too.
Yeah, not to spoil anything, but the ending is hilarious.
Oh my god. That's one of the reasons it's one of my favorite episodes too, because I like the ones that have like the hilarious or upbeat endings.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the episodes of the show end pretty dark.
And just not, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you've been in an MMO or even a multiplayer situation, you can really just appreciate the level of humor that comes from the ending of USS Callister.
Yeah. And yeah, so do we have anything else we really want to add for this?
No, I don't want to spoil anything else.
I'm just going to say it's probably the one with the biggest all-star cast, just because it had Christian Milioti, Jesse Plemons, and Jimmy Simpson, who were all pretty recognizable. And
very much so.
And even the rest of the supporting cast, to a degree, are pretty noticeable.
Yeah, this was definitely, like you said, the biggest all-star cast episode, I think.
Yeah, and thankfully it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 70 minutes. I'm just double-checking the running
times. Yeah, it was a little over 70, yeah.
76.
Yeah, I thought it was a little over 70, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, the second one was shorter. Archangel's only 52. And like we said before, it's like parent tracking.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where mother tries to protect her child from seeing something horrific, and instead of just like one or two things, it goes to the point like, okay, we're giving you this implant that blurs everything that you deem is something that will be harmful to your child, including a dog barking from the other side of a fence.
Yeah.
So like throughout her entire youth into her teenage years, the image of a dog barking from the other side of a fence is blurred. Like that's just insane.
Yep.
It really was, but like blood is blurred, and of course she is. This is the one problem like I really had with this episode. And I understand that we've had like the experimental idea, like certain people can get into an experiment that others don't. But it just felt like this is one of those things where a piece of technology is readily available to more parents and nobody else is using it but her.
I know, like that's the weird thing. Like she's trying out a new piece of tech, and she seems to be the only one, even though it seems like something more people would be trying out.
Yeah, especially considering the fact like it continues on for at least over a decade.
Yeah. I know that's the real kicker. I mean, on its own as a premise, it works okay, but it doesn't stand up to the world it's trying to build.
Right.
And the social commentary it makes is decent, but it, like, I don't know how, like, it feels like it doesn't take full advantage of its premise.
Yeah, it's just...
It pretty much goes exactly where you think it's going to go. And while it does go there pretty well, it's like I still maintain there's no truly bad episode of Black Mirror.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely some weaker ones.
Right.
And Archangel, it's between this and another one is my least favorite of the season.
Okay.
Which I still think is, like I said, I still think it's fine.
Right, it's a good show. It's a good episode, but I mean, like you stack it up against other shows.
Yeah.
But in terms of you stack it up against its own competition in terms of Black Mirror episodes, it just doesn't stand out too well.
Well, it's a kicker too because one of the actors in it is Canadian icon Nicholas Campbell.
Yeah.
Who's basically in everything Canadian. And yeah, and even though I'm sorry, Nicholas, I'm just not buying this is one of my favorite episodes this time.
Yeah.
And I think it was directed by this is the one directed by Jodie Foster too.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, it's probably one of the weakest ones of the season.
Yeah, they
only
really
52
had a
minutes
lot.
though, so.
Yeah. I mean, but that was one of those episodes where kind of like it dragged a little bit. Well, even under an hour, it just felt a little too long-winded.
And the ending just kind of ends.
Oh yeah, that ending. Like I didn't want to really even bring it up, but it was like you said, we kind of knew exactly where it was going to go, but it was almost like the overall message is, hey, if you don't do this, this is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nine times out of 10, it just feels like there's no in between, and then it just ends.
Just a crocodile.
Ah.
Ha.
Oh, this episode.
You remember how I said there was one episode I thought was worse?
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah.
Wow. And the worst part about this is a perfect example of an episode. Once again, unlike Archangel, which to me kind of meanders about midway through, and I start kind of like disliking it a little bit. Crocodile, I actually appreciated a lot until about the last 10 minutes.
It just got excessive.
And it just fell off the rails so fast.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah, because we're talking, it's about insurance that they can basically review people's memories, and people start to get paranoid about the stuff that'll be discovered in their memories, and it just, the way that they try to prevent people from seeing the memories just gets cartoonish.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like if you had, it's like, all right, we have all these threats coming towards the planet, but they're all like, basically one big alien monster after another, and you have a team of people that can fight it, but the main one you have is Superman, so it's like, just get Superman to solve it.
Right.
It's like it's like much like the same way you would always pick Superman. It's like, oh, we'll just pick this. Except in this case, it's like, why do you keep picking this? There's surely a better option. But at this point, the person's like, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Right. And like I said, once again, don't want to spoil too much, but I have to spoil this a little bit because it ties into the whole narrative of the fact that, like you said, they have to kind of convince and coerce people to remember things properly. So it's like, hey, think about this sound, or if you're around a bar, I'm going to bring a bottle of beer so you can smell it, and maybe that'll entice you to remember, oh, this is what I saw and how I saw it because I had this smell to associate it with. How does that work with animals?
I know.
That's all I'm saying. That's the only part of the spoil I want to say. How does this work with animals? How do you coerce the memories out of animals?
And that's the thing that comes up and doesn't make any sense. I mean, this is the problem. Like, the general concept is, again, interesting, and the leads, especially Andrea Riseborough, she's really good in this.
Oh, she's really, really good.
Like,
and she's the saving grace of the whole episode.
Aside from the big twist at the end of the episode, like, the ending was actually pretty strong.
Hey.
It's the problem is the twist doesn't, you're like, how does that work? And then
how does that even work? In the way that you set up this world. Like, that's my problem. You set up these rules, and how does this work in this set of rules?
Yep. And yeah, it's just, it's a shame because, like, otherwise, like, this probably would have been one of the stronger ones.
Yeah.
But it just gets comical as it gets near the end, and then it has the twist, and you're like, that's silly. Which, I mean, I've had this problem before. Like, the Waldo moment episode in season 2, I thought was in general pretty good, but then when the twist starts to happen,
it's going here. No. Yeah. Just no. Just no.
No, because it's a shame, because, like, there's some, like I said, the Waldo moment actually has some pretty good dialogue in some points, too. Mm-hmm. Like, the character has a pretty good speech. I'm like, oh, it's like, and then it's like, oh. But, should we move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Let's hang the DJ.
Let's hang the DJ.
Which is one of the shorter ones. It's only 51 minutes.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. And this is one I actually came into really thinking I was going to hate.
See, this one's actually my favorite.
And I absolutely love this episode. I really do.
Yeah.
But I came into it when the initial, 5 minutes, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to absolutely hate this episode.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I absolutely loved it.
Well, because it reminds me a lot of San Junipero, which is the season 3 one that ended up winning an Emmy.
Yeah, that everyone loves. Everyone loves.
Well, yeah, it's a very safe and understandable one to love.
Exactly.
And this one it's definitely not a perfect copy by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
No, like, there's but just the kind of two people meet and it's about them.
Right.
That in that respect, it really.
And even when they're not on screen together, you know what it's about in the overall scheme, right?
Oh yeah, because it's essentially kind of it's probably more romantic dramedy, mm-hmm. Although the comedy is a little more downplayed.
Yeah. I think it's more of just human comedy. It's more of just if you've experienced certain things in your life, especially at that age, it's more subtle.
Yep.
And it works.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this is one that's, it's got a very generic but understandable autocratic system, and even the ending twist implications, it's really fascinating to think about. I don't think it falls apart as much as some other ones do.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a nice little twist, even though I know a lot of people, of course, everyone claims on the internet that they figured it out way before it actually happened. But to me, the actual ending, like right before the credits, was the best part because it just shows that even with all of this technology, even with all of this help, there's still that human aspect of questioning exactly what you're being told.
Yeah, I know, and it's like this is one of the ones that's has one of the more optimistic endings, which like I think is one of the things I really like. Like I think some of the best Black Mirror episodes, with some exceptions, are generally the ones that have the more optimistic endings.
Right.
I mean, there's some exceptions. Like I quite like White Christmas, and that one's dark. So I'm not saying, and of course a lot of people like 15 million credits and
Right.
the entire history of you, which are both pretty dark endings.
It's funny, like, that you bring that up because my 3 favorite episodes of the season, which is episode 1, episode 4, which is the one we're talking about, Hank the DJ, and episode 6, are the ones with the best endings in terms of hopefulness.
Yeah.
Although, and those are my favorite episodes.
We'll get to episode 6.
That was
a little more complicated to
Yeah.
But yeah, no, episode 1 and 4 probably have the most optimistic episode endings, and they tend to have the strongest ones as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the leads are super charming. And it's adorable in the best possible way.
Very much so.
And it's heartfelt, and you really feel like there's some decent metaphors going on, and all this other stuff. It really clicks for me.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Like the only thing.
Plus, it's Georgina Campbell, so shout out to Georgina. That's my girl there, so I can't hate.
I didn't realize she was your girl.
Oh yeah, she's one of many.
I knew you had a bunch of other ones, but I didn't realize she was one of them.
She's one of them.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
No problem with that. She was really good in this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock you for it. No, it's like the only thing they maybe could have done was dressed up the world a bit more, done a little bit more visually. Because, I mean, we've had, what was it? I can't remember the name of the episode from season 3, the one with all the pastels.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, that one had won an award for art direction, and it feels like they could have done a little bit more with the art direction on this one, but other than that, I mean, and that's small.
Well, the only thing I go against with that is the fact that of the twist at the end, we actually understand what the world is supposed to be about. So
yeah, that's true. I don't know. It feels like they could have done a little bit more creative.
Yeah, I agree. They could have done more to make it feel like it was. I don't want to spoil too much, but you know what I mean. But yep. I still think it works in terms of the setting that they were trying to present.
Mm-hmm. So moving on, we've got Metalhead, which is that one's only 41 minutes.
Yeah.
So that might be. I think that's actually the shortest of the season. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because Black Museum's 70 minutes. So.
Yeah. That like I said, 1 and 6, those are the marathon episodes.
Yeah. And so Metalhead, it really is almost like what you imagine the future in the Terminator would be like.
Yeah. Instead of jacked up robot guys, it's just little guard dogs.
Yeah, it's people in a seemingly post-apocalyptic future get tracked by these seemingly unstoppable robot dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all done in black and white.
Yep, and they have BBs that they shoot out of their backs and
yeah. It's it's one of those things. It's mostly gimmick free.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's in black and white, and that's arguably a gimmick.
Right.
It's a weird way. It's a weird because I remember I was reading something the other day. It's like people praise it for being gimmick free. I'm like, I guess it kind of is, but it's also in black and white, so that's also a gimmick.
It's almost one of those things. I'm wondering if they knew they had to put it in black and white because it wasn't if it was a regular colored episode. I don't know if people would talk about it that much.
No, it really the noir element does add something. It's not just done for the sake of it, but at the same time, I feel like it might be one of the main things it has going for it, because it's effectively, it's more effective as noir, because otherwise it's effective, but kind of by the numbers. I mean, it's not, it's a middle of the ground one for me. Like I said, 1 and 4 are my favorites. This one's probably more with 2 and 3 being my least favorites.
Yeah.
So this one's
somewhere. It's on the bottom half.
Yeah. I don't know if it's hard because the middle is like tricky. Like if it's one of the bottom three, it's probably the third worst.
Yeah.
And even then, that's unfair because, like I said, even the worst episodes of Black Mirror still have something going
It's
for it.
still strong stuff.
Absolutely. It's just, I don't know.
I just hate once again, just to get a little spoilerish, I hate the fact that we have I don't know, of course we don't know where these robot guard dogs come from.
Yep.
So we don't know how they're made. We don't know how many they are. We just know there are quite a few that enough people are afraid of them. And my biggest problem with this episode when it comes to the capabilities of these dogs is their inability to climb.
Yeah. Robot enemies unable to climb. Much like Ed 209 and the original version of the Daleks before they got the ability to fly.
Right, like, I just hate this because if you have enough technology to make them be able to shoot BBs out of the backs, you can't tell me they can't figure out a way that maybe, just maybe, they have to learn how to climb eventually.
Mm-hmm. Well, the animation style with the robot dogs was actually kind of interesting too, because it almost looked stop motion-y.
Mm-hmm.
But it was.
Yeah, it's true.
Like this is the interesting thing. Is like it feels like I think that's one of the reasons the black and white works, because it feels like a modern take on a retro, and as a result, it's almost Twilight Zone-ish.
Yeah.
And of course, there's that ending shot. The ending's one of those ones where it's like, so what do you think it means?
Yeah.
which I honestly might have been too ambiguous for my taste, but I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
No, it worked fine. It
was a solid episode, but
oh yeah, it's just, it's not gonna be.
I feel that like you said, the strength of the gimmick when it comes to black and white made it more just made it more intriguing than the actual overall premise. If it was just a regularly colored episode, I don't think anybody would really talk about it that much.
No, like critics usually tend to like this one, and well, although of course the problem with Black Mirror is everyone usually hates one episode,
mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is one of the ones that has made it on a few lists despite that. But let's move on to the last one, which is going to have some significance for multiple reasons.
Right.
Let's talk about Black Museum. So we mentioned it before. It's an anthology. Do you want to go in from here?
I mean, it's just.
Oh no, actually, I need to comment on something.
Okay, yeah.
So, did you notice the name? Okay, so the first, basically, this one girl played. Okay, do you remember, how do you pronounce her name? Is it Letitia, right?
Yeah, Letitia.
Letitia, thank you, because
mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever heard it pronounced before. And I look at it and I'm just like, how do I even?
How do you say that right?
Yeah, she goes to a museum run by this guy who's like the purveyor of criminal artifacts. And he basically
somehow just found a way to get everything that is horrific happened connected to something.
Yeah, basically he's got a museum of horrors, and he tells the stories of these items. And the first one, I have to point this out, is about a doctor named
mm-hmm.
Peter Dawson.
Yes.
I felt like I should point that out.
Yes, you really did.
So apparently I'm in this universe.
I really got a pop. I popped when I heard this.
Well, it's funny too because the guy, he does look like an older, more handsome me. Like I would totally buy him as he's like, oh yeah, this is my handsomer older brother.
It was like the episode of The Simpsons where the character was named Homer Simpson.
It really was.
Yeah.
Well, it gets funnier too because never mind. I don't want to. Oh, that's too much of a tangent. But yeah, so apparently I'm in this universe and I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
I'm a sexy doctor who.
You're a sexy doctor. You're just missing the scarf.
Yeah, he gets tech that allows him to feel the pain of others, which makes him better at diagnosing pain.
Without him suffering any of the long-term effects, physical ailments.
Yeah, and then he ends up basically. Does he get addicted to pain? Yes,
he gets addicted to it.
Yeah.
He has. Like the guy has this whatever they can't even diagnose what's happening. I think they say it's a heart attack or something, and then he can't feel it. He actually almost dies, but then he becomes aroused by it afterwards when he comes back to life.
It's pretty effed up.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of those ones where you kind of know exactly where it's going, But once it happens, it gets even more disturbing, especially like when they show him having sex with his girlfriend.
Mm.
Oh man. Yeah, that was really disturbing. That really was.
Well, then we get the next one. Oh man, we get the story of Aldous Hodge of I believe Leverage.
Yeah, and Underground.
Thank you.
Underground thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the new thing he's on.
Yeah.
Yeah. His wife is basically dying.
She gets hit by a van.
Sorry, right. Sorry. I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, she gets hit by a van. And so it's like, you could transfer her consciousness into you. And it's like, I don't see any downside to having my dead wife, sit around and judge my every action. If you see the problem with what's about to happen.
And not just judge, but feel every sensation too of
Yeah.
your own. So like for example, one of the earlier moments in the show when he goes to use the bathroom, and she says she'll never get used to him peeing. Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
So he ends up getting stuck with an AI recreation of his wife.
Nothing could go wrong there.
And he just gets to the point where, of course, she starts driving him crazy.
Yes.
Especially when he wants to move on.
Yes. Because, of course, her actual body is gone now. And apparently they'll never be able to put her in another body for some reason, or could have found someone that maybe wants to switch. I don't know, but it's just, yeah, he's in her head.
Yep.
And she has to have some moments alone once he realizes that he's getting a little tired of her.
Yep. And before long, it's like, well, how do you solve this problem? Do you delete your wife and essentially kill her again?
Right.
Or do you strand her in a tortured existence?
Mm.
So, don't want to give too much away there, but yeah.
Make your choice.
Good luck. Yeah, and then there's the third one is about a guy who was on death row. Mm-hmm. And he basically sold the rights to his post-death consciousness.
Right. And this is one of the episodes where we were talking about like how everything kind of ties in together. Beyond the actual items that we've seen through previous episodes showing up in the museum, his story, which is the guy that, of course, like you said, sells his likeness afterwards. His story is running through the news off of every story that's going on at the time. Mm-hmm. So all of these stories are happening all in this one period of time, except for, of course, I guess the Aldous story that kind of goes a little bit further. Like I said, I don't know exactly when. That
one takes a longer time to go through because it's like
right. I can't remember exactly when his part of the story was showing up connected to the convict story.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because the guy who installs the software is the guy who's running the museum.
Right.
So that's how the museum guy fits in. And the technology used ends up paying off later on as well.
Right. Yeah, but going back to like the hologram, because he sells his consciousness to this guy that owns the museum, and the reason for it is because people get kicks off of seeing other people suffering. So people get to pay to electrocute his consciousness for all of eternity.
Yeah, so basically it's, hey, want to torture the soul of a dead man?
Yeah. And not only that, but you get to keep a piece of this memorabilia in a necklace.
Well, yeah, like it's all like the kind of thing that all ties together is like you got pain awareness, you've got and you got consciousness living after death, and all that kind of ties together with the implants.
Right.
Just the tech wise, because there's more to it than that. Because like we said, there's a framing device at a museum with Letitia Wright, and that goes places.
Yeah, very much so. Especially the conclusion. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she was absolutely magnificent, especially the last few scenes, like just incredible.
Yeah. This one was your favorite, right?
This is one, like I said, between this and USS Callister is my favorite. I probably have to go with Black Museum though, especially I think the ending is just so great. Like I said, it was actually very hopeful considering what happens at the end.
I don't know if it was as hopeful as the other ones, but honestly, my thing was the guy who runs the museum. I didn't like him.
Yeah, he was really annoying. But
I didn't find him
I think that's what made it so, just the ending was so good. It was because of how annoying he was.
I suppose, but honestly, I wasn't feeling him.
Yeah.
Like, that's my main, and that's not nothing, which is why I usually pick, Hang the DJ or Callister over this one, but I mean, that's about it. And I mean, if you don't mind the guy being annoying, and are thus fine with what happens to him later.
Right.
Because, oh yeah, you think this guy who owns a torture museum is going to get off scot-free? No.
No. And not only that, but just to spoil a little bit, but that whole gimmick of his that he came up with just doesn't last too long.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't last. It's not that financially profitable for long.
Turns out, this was poorly conceived.
It's a poor idea.
Oh, yeah, I was going to mention that the big thing was that Netflix had ordered two seasons of 6 episodes. So we don't know if we're going to get more or not yet.
Yeah. So.
Probably, because people tend to get hyped around this.
Yeah, I think it's got enough of a following now, get enough good reception that I think they're going to ask for more, at least a couple more seasons.
I would imagine, yeah. They take a while to produce. Like, this came out 14 months after season 3.
Right.
So, but I mean, basically all the episodes are written by Charlie Brooker.
Yeah, that is true.
With a few exceptions, they all pretty much are. So, kind of makes sense that it's going to be. Oh, and yeah, I said ITV earlier. No, it was Channel 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is one of the confusing things with the UK. Because they have BBC 1, BBC 2, BBC 3, and then they have ITV 1, ITV 2, and then they have Channel 4.
Yeah.
But whatever. I'm sure because there's, how many ABCs there are across the world?
I have no idea.
There's so many.
I know. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah. And I think there's a TBS in Japan as well, so.
Oh, man.
There's no good way to name a network is what I've discovered. Yeah, no, I'd say Black Mirror season 4, pretty solid season.
Very much so. I think that the stronger episodes really going to stand out. I think they're going to stand the test of time. I really do.
Well, there's apparently rumors that they want to make the USS Callister a series.
Wow.
Which I'm like, could you sustain it?
How would that even work?
I know, right? That's the thing. It's like, could you do that? It's definitely entertaining. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, do we need more?
Like Jesse's character breaking the fourth wall ever so randomly.
Yeah, I don't know, but no, it was absolutely fantastic, and do recommend. And like I said, because it's an anthology, you really don't need to watch it in any order.
Yeah, at all whatsoever. Like whatever you feel like watching, whatever episode you want to check out, it's completely fresh and disconnected from everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there's a few Easter eggs here and there, but only a majority of only the dedicated are really going to notice them.
Yep. Plus, almost every episode has at least one actor that you recognize from other stuff. So it's like, oh, that's
exactly
cool.
exactly.
Like White Christmas has John Hamm.
Yeah.
You don't break out a John Hamm for any old series. Otherwise, you'll just be one mad man.
Oh man.
Well, James. So we mentioned that Letitia Wright was in an episode called Black Museum.
Yes.
She was also in something else that just came out in cinemas. And I have to think it was also very dark.
Very much so.
You can almost say it was also black.
Yeah, I will say. But it was fast, though. It was fast. It's as long of a running time as it had, it still went by fast.
Mm. So, the film we're ever so subtly alluding to is Black Panther.
Yes.
Marvel's latest, I believe it's the 18th?
That sounds about right.
I'm going to double check that. Do you want to dive into the premise real quick, or do you want me to do that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, premise is pretty simple. See, centuries ago, in a far, far distant time, we had 5 African tribes that fought over a meteorite that contained this impressive source of energy and power named vibranium that eventually was taken over by the Wakanda tribe, and I mean the Jabari tribe that would form Wakanda, and eventually have their first hero in the Black Panther to defend their people. And then eventually, once they saw that war was coming out because of them trying to fight over vibranium, to that point, they distanced themselves from the rest of the world, and as they noted, started living in secrecy, where they were living in plain sight. They were hiding in plain sight, I should say, where they're in the woods, they're in Africa, but actually, when you get to Wakanda, it's this highly advanced technological city that is still ruled by a hierarchy of royalty and just absolute African tradition that I was so impressed with. I did not expect them to go as deep as they did with trying to preserve the belief in the systems of African tradition. And of course, like I said, mainly this revolves around this superhero named the Black Panther that eventually becomes the son of the king that we all know and love, that, as you know, isn't as clean, as pure-hearted as we thought he was.
Man.
And that's one of the biggest things I loved about the movie. But,
yeah. It's tradition, you know?
Yeah.
I do want to correct you. You said the Jabari were the ones that became the leaders. No, the Jabari tribe was the one tribe that didn't join up.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah, they were kind of vague on the names of the other tribes. I think one of them was just called, like, the Warrior Tribe and the Merchant Tribe.
Right.
So it could very well be it was the Merchant Tribe became, like, the leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And,
because, we see, like, a whole bunch of different tribes, and about, 40 minutes into the movie where we had, the first big showdown.
Yep. No, I think it was earlier than that. I think it was only 30 minutes in.
Maybe, yeah. We had the
because they go to Korea at like the 50-minute mark.
No, I'm talking about the big test at the waterfall of the cliff.
Yeah, I know, and like that happens before Korea, which I think is only half an hour in.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah.
Than that.
Yeah. Like I said, it went by so fast. There you go. I can't even keep track of the times.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good movie.
Well, yeah, there's a lot going on, but I mean, it's barely over 2 hours, like 2:15.
Yeah.
And that's including credits. So I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the world really did fascinate me because Wakanda is a very interesting concept for any historian, because it's an African country that wasn't touched by colonialism.
Right.
It's pure isolationist, which is one of the reasons you could argue why the traditions are in place, because they've had less cause to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the biggest ways to see tradition change in societies is by having other societies conquer you, or
conquer and infiltrate and dictate exactly what you're supposed to believe in.
Oh yeah, like a good chunk of modern American traditions in part got their start through the Saxons, which I believe 6th and 7th centuries. I'm not the
That's right.
I'm not the biggest historian, but I kind of know, this is one of the things.
Right.
So as a result, yeah, like he was like, I'm descended from British. It's like, well, if you go back far enough, and I mean, of course, if you go back far enough, we're all technically descendants of King Charlemagne.
Right.
Because if you just assume the two ancestors for each person, eventually you get to the point where there's more. You have more ancestors than there have ever been people.
Exactly.
And yeah, but beyond all that, not only did they examine the idea of an African nation that has never been like invaded, colonized, whatever. So you have all these traditions, but you still have a very modern and flat out futuristic country.
Yeah, it's completely futuristic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one part of the movie where later on where we have Shuri, which is Letitia's character.
Yeah, Letitia Wright is in this, which is one of the fun connections.
Yeah, and she explains to one of the characters that we find out later on and get a connection that he kind of connects the whole thing to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And she tells him that just fly this like you were driving a hover car. And he's like, you have hover cars?
No, hover bike.
Yeah, there you go.
You have hover bikes?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize this was a term before, and I was like, oh, this is a cool term. Afrofuturism.
Wow.
Right?
I did not know that either.
Yeah, apparently.
Wow, I love that.
I never really thought about that before I saw this movie, so this blew my mind. And speaking of Letitia Wright, like some of the cast, because we got Chadwick Boseman playing King T'Challa again, who is also Black Panther.
Right.
I always just love Black Panther as essentially African King Batman.
Yes.
That's very much what he kind of is.
That's what he really is. He really is. He's got a little bit of actual superpowers and super strength and durability to him because of the vibranium, but majority it's like the outfit, you know, like and especially like one part of once again going to Shuri, I called it sneakers.
Oh yeah, his stealth shoes that she calls
Yes,
sneakers.
I call them sneakers. He's like just no sells it.
I would have totally made that joke. Yeah, because because Shuri is essentially 16. She's supposed to be 16, by the way, and Letitia Wright's like 24. Hollywood casting, what can you do? But yeah, she's essentially 16-year-old Q.
Yeah.
Which I just loved. Cause she's one of the highlights of the film, absolutely.
She really is. She is absolutely marvelous.
She's one of the funniest characters. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I did double check. Yeah, it is the 18th Marvel movie.
Okay.
In this cinematic universe.
Right.
I was pretty sure it was. Yeah. And yeah, just so much going on. Like I said, Chadwick Boseman, Lupita Nyong'o plays his love interest, who's a Nakia. Yeah.
Nakia.
Yeah, and she's she's a member of Wakanda who's basically left Wakanda to do all kinds of humanitarian type stuff.
Yeah.
Like we first see her in Nigeria trying to save girls who've been kidnapped basically for slaves.
She's a spy for them and everything. She's just incredible the way they build up the relationship between those two too, in terms of like just sticking around, having her trying to be around to help out her homeland, and she's like, no, I got to help everyone else. Mm-hmm. Which really ties into like the overall theme of for especially for Africans, this whole Pan-African theme of just because you're from another, or you're living in another country, or you're from or born in another country, being of African descent, you can still all come together and work together for this one accord in terms of trying to make the world better. And she's like a perfect example of that throughout the entire movie.
Oh yeah. And I wanted to point out Danai Gurira from Walking Dead's in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how old she was. Because once again, I can't judge how old some African American actors are.
Black don't crack, man. I'm telling you.
It's like how most people don't realize just how old Samuel L. Jackson is.
Right.
Because he's up there.
Yeah.
And yeah, Danai Gurira. How old? Like, don't look it up. How old do you think she is?
I'm going to say about 52.
No, she's 40 though.
Okay, I was about to say I was going to go like really.
I thought
really
she was
high.
still in her mid-30s.
No, I knew she was like close there, but yeah. That's about right.
Yeah, it's one of those actors, and yeah, she's playing a member of the Dora Milaje.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't butcher that too badly.
Yeah, that's about as close as I can say it myself.
Cool. Yeah, which are like the female, basically royal guards.
Yeah, they're just special forces, and like you said, once again, all females,
yep.
Which is incredible. Honestly, the females stole this movie. I'm not gonna lie, like they really stole this movie.
The only one who gets screwed is someone we're gonna get to, and even then, she doesn't get screwed that badly. But yeah, and then I don't want to get into the villains too much yet. Of course, okay, I have to make the joke that has been a meme for a long time. So Martin Freeman and Andy Serkis are in this. Mm-hmm. And Martin Freeman notably playing Bilbo Baggins in the recent Hobbit movies.
Right.
And Andy Serkis, of course, famous for playing Gollum. And they're the main two white characters in the movie, which means they're the Tolkien white guys.
Yeah, the Tolkien white guys. It was a treat to have you in there.
Yep. And of course, they do have a moment where they confront each other, and many precious jokes are made. Yeah, because Martin Freeman plays Everett Ross. For some reason, he's playing an American CIA agent. I never understood why they didn't just make the character British.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Because we were getting so many American characters. It's like, can we not have like a Brit or something? I don't know. But yeah, he's there, and he's the fish out of water / non-Wakandan ally they have. And it's interesting because he is a fish out of water, so when he gets to Wakanda, he's like, "Whoa, this is all crazy." That happens late in the movie.
Very much so. I was surprised.
So as a result, the movie isn't really a fish out of water story, and I thought they were going to use him as like a framing device to learn about Wakanda, but it's like, no, they're just going to show it to us, and you're just going to roll with it. I'm like, all right. Like they still used him at some points for exposition. The outsider asking, "What's that?" and it's like, "Oh, it's this." It's like, okay, that's going to be important later in the movie. They do that, but later in the movie than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, I just wanted to nail because Daniel Kaluuya, the Academy Award nominee from Get Out, It was also in an episode of Black Mirror, a very good one. 15 million was credits? Yeah. Merits?
Yeah.
Whatever it's called. Yeah. Yeah, he's in there as a supporting character, and as is, of course, Academy Award winner Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, for the Black Panther Obi-Wan.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Complete with his signature wonky eye.
Yeah. Oh man, and honestly, I'm wondering if I know there's the heart-shaped herb.
Yep.
That they talk about a lot, and now I'm kind of wondering, like, now I understand maybe exactly why Black Panther is going to be a part of the Avengers universe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to spoil it there, just a little hint there. I think they might have dropped a hint exactly why Black Panther is connected so much.
Oh yeah, though there's a couple of hints, although they didn't. Like a lot, I want to point out one thing that a lot of people thought this movie was going to reveal. So this is a small spoiler. I'm just going to warn you all the same. People thought the final Infinity Stone was going to be revealed in this movie. It was not.
I don't know.
Like they could still have a way around that, but we'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah, they didn't make it a bold point, and they're saying, hey, this is what it is, but I don't know. They might have.
Yep, there may still be a connection in there, but they didn't confirm it either way.
Right.
Because they still have some opportunity. I just wanted to quickly touch on, because Angela Bassett, another Academy Award nominee, she plays T'Challa's mom.
Mother.
So she's like the queen mom. She's the one who kind of gets undermined because, well, she's an awesome character. She's basically absent from the finale of the movie.
Yeah, she's one of those characters that's just there for that emotional impact.
Pretty much,
and just a certain instance that happened, and that's it.
Yeah.
No, she's just the mother figure of the movie. She has no real depth other than that. Like, that's really it.
Yeah. So we're already running long, but of course we need to touch on the villains.
So
we had Andy Serkis playing Ulysses Claw, who is just a delight.
Just a delight. The interrogation scene is one of my favorites of the entire movie.
He starts singing "What Is Love."
Yes!
And I do mean the one from the frickin' Night at the Roxbury sketch, where it's like, "Baby, don't hurt me." And he claims, and supposedly him and his henchmen do have a musical mixtape.
Wow.
Like, they got asked if he was recording a mixtape or something. He's like, "Oh yeah, we got it on SoundCloud." He's like, "I don't want to listen to you sing."
Oh man.
Like, Ulysses Claw is just a guy who's happy to be alive and happy he's
evil. He just enjoys the fact that he's causing so much havoc, so much problems for the Black Panther, and just robbing people. He just loves it.
He demands they turn on the music in his car while they're in a chase scene.
Yes.
It's just Claw's great, but
yeah, I wanted so much more of him in the movie.
Well, the fun part though is he contrasts because both villains are pretty entertaining as well as effective, and the other one, Michael B. Jordan, he's a different kind of hilarious.
As Eric Stevens or Killmonger, as we all know and love. And he's just dry. He's just so dry, but that's what makes it so funny. He's just blunt, straight to the point, and it's just hilarious the way he does it.
Well, with the way he wears armor in the movie that looks like Vegeta's Saiyan armor from Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Which means when he walks around swaying, he legitimately has Super Saiyan swagger.
Yeah.
And because Michael B. Jordan's natural charisma is on full display in this movie, he is undeniably charming, even when he's basically acting like a sociopath.
Yeah. The first time you see him on screen is as a little scene in the museum.
Oh, man.
It's just the epitome of exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, everything.
And more than that, he's just making everybody uncomfortable.
Yeah. And the best part, they point it out. They point out exactly that everyone is uncomfortable with him being in that museum.
Well, yeah. No. If you thought this movie was going to shy away from race relations, no.
Yeah.
They absolutely, I wouldn't say they go deep.
No, they don't get preachy or they don't get just annoying with it.
No.
But they definitely acknowledge it.
Well, in that scene alone, he points out, he's like, "Hey, these relics were stolen."
Yeah.
It's like, what do you call conquering other tribes and then taking their stuff? That's called theft. Oh, it's colonial times. It doesn't count. No.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But then, of course, he just sees a mask and he's like, "Hey, is that Wakandan too?" He's like, "No, I just like it."
I just like it. Yeah.
He just acts like a petty thief for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, yeah. Do we want to explain his motivations vaguely? Like, probably shouldn't get into all the spoilers with him. But
Yeah, it's a part that's really early in the movie. I think we can explain, that's really a precursor to everything that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. T'Challa's father was the Black Panther, of course, before him was because he was the king.
T'Chaka, too.
Yeah, T'Chaka. And back in the early 90s, they had his brother going undercover in Oakland. And come to find out his brother sells him out.
Mm.
And T'Chaka has to make him pay. He has to bring justice. And come to find out, of course, T'Chaka's brother has a son, and his son grows up to be a guy that likes to take masks whenever he sees it.
He's got that Super Saiyan swagger.
Got that swagger, that's it. And of course, that leads to the Battle of the Throne, which I thought was absolutely marvelous. Like, to me, once Michael B. Jordan, once Killmonger came on the screen for the second half, like, it was kind of losing a little bit of steam. And once he comes on in the second half, like, everything just turns off.
Oh, man. Especially because he's got his American accent, and everyone else is talking with, like, the South African accents, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and it's so tonally jarring. Plus, he's talking like a regular dude would. Like, at one place, just like, "Hey, auntie."
Yeah.
And at one place, he's like, he drops an S-bomb. They curse a lot in this movie.
A normal person, like everyone else, especially T'Challa, which I appreciate his character so much because they have this air about themselves of royalty. Even when him and Shuri are kind of like going back and forth, there's still that level of just kind of just a level of royalty to say. And then you have Killmonger, who's just straight up just a normal person who just happens to be a part of the royal family, and he does not care. He just says whatever he wants to say.
Yep.
Oh man. Oh, such a great film.
Absolutely.
And once again, like we've always said, and I know a lot of people say, the best villains are the ones that you can actually relate to their motivation. Not only do I relate to his motivation, not to spoil too much, but coming toward the end of the movie featuring a line with him that I absolutely adore that ties into everything, and just the fact of saying that he needs to be free. Like, his whole journey was to find freedom, and even if that meant going back to the place that kind of disowned him, that would help him find freedom.
I know, like he's definitely, Marvel's really been kicking butt with a lot of the villains. Like, 'cause I mean, even Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy was pretty solid. But I mean,
right?
Hela was pretty good. Vulture was pretty good, and now Killmonger was great.
Yeah,
they've just been killing it. But I wanted to point something out, by the way. So,
okay.
There's two fun facts about Oakland that I think relate to this movie. First of all, I believe that's where Ryan Coogler was born. Ryan Coogler being the director.
Right.
Yep. And number two, you know where one of the organizations that got founded in Oakland, essentially? The Black Panthers.
Black Panthers. The Black Panthers.
So there's a lot of significance to Oakland there. Just some fun trivia for you there.
Yeah. There you go. I had no idea about Coogler being born in Oakland. I did not know that.
Yeah, no, that was one thing I picked up on. And so there's two things that I want to comment on. One's kind of a joke critique, and the other one's
okay.
Well, they're both kind of jokes. The first one though, one of the things they introduced with Black Panther's armor in this one is that his suit can absorb kinetic energy and then release it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time we see it in action in the field, they basically explain it like a video game tutorial.
Yeah.
Like at one point, it's like T'Challa, your suit's fully charged. Now you can release a super attack.
Yeah.
Like it really felt like something out of like if you're playing a Mega Man game and it's like Mega Man, your Mega Buster's fully charged. Unleash your super attack.
And for me, like the most recent example was like the new South Park game. They do the tutorial. Like that was like the first thing I thought about.
It's like, you're fully powered. Now is your time to strike.
You can hit your super move.
This is the problem when we play too many video games, though, right?
Yeah, no. You find so many connections that's not even warranted.
No. Well, I mean, those kinetic energy attacks were pretty cool, though. It helps make you stand out a bit more, too.
I loved T'Challa testing out the suit when she told him to kick it.
Oh, yeah. Of course she trolled him, and he knew she was trolling him, but he didn't know how, so he went along with it.
It was a Charlie Brown scene, and it's
absolutely Lucy in the football all over again. So my other problem with the movie was it was too dark.
Yeah, I will wholeheartedly agree, especially when it comes to the final battle.
See, I really thought you were going to laugh more when I said that.
No, I get you, but like I'm actually had that complaint with you.
Okay, dang it!
Like,
I really thought I was going to get a gut or a laugh from you.
No, like I get you on that. Like,
okay,
I get the joke. I definitely get the joke, but it's like to me, I'm actually very serious about it because
I know. Yeah.
I hated Final Battle.
Yeah,
because of it.
And well, even the opening bit where he's attacking the dudes in Nigeria, it's really dark.
Yeah, well, on that end, I understand exactly that, but I was actually with that because it's supposed to be like such a level of mystery connected to Black Panther. Like, I understand exactly why it was supposed to be that dark. But like the final battle, where you're supposed to want to be able to see every little detail, it was just way too dark.
Wasn't the movie's theme song "Step Into the Spotlight"? They clearly missed their cue. I'm a little disappointed you didn't laugh more when I said it was too dark. But yeah, this is the problem when you agree with me. Damn it, James, you ruined my favorite joke. Like that. Yeah, the lighting at points I thought was a little. Enough of it. I want to see more movies bring back what I call 80s night, which is where it's like more blue than anything else.
Right.
It's like they probably filmed it during the day, but they made it look like night by tinting it very blue.
Yeah, I blame the last Batman movies. Like once those start, like they decide, hey, every superhero movie has to be darker than night.
Just do what Mad Max Fury Road did. They did the blue night thing, the 80s night.
Exactly. It works. It still works.
That was awesome.
Still works.
And you can still see what's going on. You're like, well, it's night now. Even though it's blue. Whatever. But no, yeah, Black Panther, probably one of the strongest Marvel movies. Yeah?
Yeah. And one thing about it, I have to give it over Thor Ragnarok. I know we talked about how funny that was. I think they built so much on comedy, like you kind of lose a little bit of the focus, where this one has like really good bits of comedy.
Yeah, but it's focused still.
But it's focused, and you still have that level of seriousness.
There was like no scene where I was like, why did they put a joke there?
Yeah, exactly.
Like arguably the worst offender is Claw, just because he's always joking, but you quickly roll with it.
He's crazy though. I mean, he's crazy funny, so I have no problem with that.
Exactly. Like, no, he makes it work. But yeah, I think that'll. Any more final thoughts you want to throw in?
No, I think it was a fantastic movie.
Yep.
I don't know if it necessarily lived up to the hype in the sense of it being the greatest superhero movie of all time, but I think we've set a high precedent, like between this and Logan.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been such great from back-to-back years of high point superhero movies as we've seen in the last 2 years.
And we still got Deadpool 2, Infinity War. And next year we're going to get Captain Marvel, so we can see Marvel's take on a female-led superhero film finally.
Yeah.
DC only beat you by 2 years, losers.
Oh, man.
You can never take that away from DC. Even though Black Panther's now one of the... It was one of the highest grossing weekends of all time. I think it was number 5.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like the 2 Star Wars movies that came out recently are 2 of the ones that beat it. And I think it didn't quite beat Jurassic World, but I mean Jurassic World set a record at the time.
Yeah, it definitely did. Yeah.
So I mean, what are you gonna do?
See if we can hold on to 2021 and then Jurassic 3 comes out.
Jurassic World 3. This time Sam Neill wants a paycheck.
Oh, man. Now we need to watch Death Wish so we get that taste of Bruce Willis in our mouths.
No. That, Well, on the note of remakes that probably shouldn't have come out, period. I've been Peter W. Dawson.
I've been Black Panther James Bullock.
The revolution will not be televised, James.
Oh, man, I'm going to start making monkey noises now.
Oh, please don't. All right. Until next time, folks, have a good day.
Oh, that was not racist. That was from the movie.